So last year, about 3 months into those 2 weeks to flatten the curve, I discovered something new about myself. And I was pretty shocked because I thought that at 31, I knew myself pretty well already. So when this whole lockdown situation started, I was actually secretly quite thrilled, not about the pandemic, obviously, but about the fact that I got to work from home, which I'd been trying to do for years. And the clients just wouldn't get along with a plan. They wouldn't want to work from home. And it was so frustrating because I would keep telling them, look, I'm not a doctor. There's not much that I can do in person that I can't do over Zoom or Skype. What's the big deal? But I guess habits are hard to break, aren't they? So once people get used to working in person, it is so hard to get them to work online. So when the lockdowns finally started and most of us had to start working from home, I actually felt vindicated. I thought, yes, you're finally having to bite the bullet and having to do what I need you to do, which is to allow me to stop spending half my life fighting with the trains and the buses and the transport of London, because I was so frustrated. I remember that I spent 8 to 10 hours a day outside of the home, of which maybe 4 or 5 were spent doing actual paid work. So it felt like an absolute blessing at first. And I noticed quite quickly that not just the clients, but just about everyone around me, friends and family that I would talk to, they didn't seem to be handling this lockdown situation all that well. Most people seem to be having some kind of extended meltdown. And every time that I talked to them, they would tell me, oh, I'm going stir crazy. I'm getting cabin fever. I need to get out. I want to see people face to face. And I would think, what are you even talking about? This is great. This is great. And I'm a little ashamed to admit that I even felt, again, a little bit vindicated, a little bit of schadenfreude at their complaints, because I thought, oh, boo-hoo. For once, you're getting a little taste of what I and fellow introverts have been going through for most of our lives. Because for those who don't know, I'm not a people person. I really enjoy spending time alone, far more than socializing most of the time, and living in a society where you're pretty much expected to be a social butterfly is exhausting, isn't it? And when people would complain, I thought, look, you'll get over it. It's a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months. I mean, joke's on me on that one, but this is what I thought at the time. You'll be fine. You're just getting a little taste of what it's like to live in a society that is built the exact opposite of how you need it to function. And as I said, about 3 months into those 2 weeks, I was talking to my parents and they were telling me the usual stuff about, oh, cabin fever. Oh, even with a garden, we're sick and tired of being at home. There's only so many times we can throw the ball for the dog, so many times we can cook, so many board games we can play. But you're enjoying this, aren't you? And I said, no, I'm not. I hate it. I hate it. I've been stuck at home for 3 months at this point. I haven't touched anyone. I haven't shaken hands. I haven't hugged a single damn person. And right in that conversation, it finally clicked what was wrong. Because for the past 3 months, except for maybe those first couple of weeks that were pure bliss, and I really enjoyed that extra time that I had on my hands, I had been feeling this uneasiness and it had slowly been building up and I didn't have a name for it. I thought it's anxiety about the future. I thought it was anxiety about my health. I thought, am I going to die of this virus? What's going to happen? And when we had that conversation with my parents, it finally clicked that what I'd been feeling all this time was loneliness. And this is something that I pretty much mentally written off. I'd put it in that box of these are things that I'm not likely to ever feel as a helplessly, hopelessly over-socialized, burnt out introvert who just wants to be alone for 5 minutes. And when I had that realization, I thought, wow, if I'm struggling and I'm the least social person that I know, how bad is it for the average person mentally, this whole situation of being stuck at home? So the lesson from that is, for crying out loud, have some empathy. That would be one. Try to put yourself in other people's shoes. The other one would be, you never really stop learning. just when you think that you know yourself and you have painted this portrait and you've been telling yourself, okay, this is who I am. No, joke's on you. You never really know who you fully are. You're always in a process of discovering it. So then I started doing something that I hadn't really actively done until that point, which is seeking other people out to interact with. And I started doing online networking events, and I loved them. I started fostering deeper connections with people that I knew from LinkedIn and social media. So we would start having virtual coffees that were nothing to do with work. It was just chatting, and it was just fostering that human connection. And the last lesson that I learned from that was it is good to define yourself in some way and to work on understanding yourself. But when you become too attached to a label, in my case, oh, I'm an introvert, I'll be fine isolated, that's when the problems start happening. So learn to tell the difference between understanding and labeling yourself to death.